Hello, and welcome back for your daily dose of LOL Esports content, where I'm going to cover a bit of news as well as the games that took place in the LCK and LEC today, then preview tomorrow's schedule in the LCK, LPL, and LEC as the LPL return from their New Year's break. So predictions went 3-0 on the day. We'll start with the LCK, HLE, and Genji. Genji would win 2-0. Chovy 928, 29% of damage. Keen 6-1-11. Viper 1, 2, and 3, 38% of damage in the loss. A series where honestly it was all Genji. Game 1 at 16-15 laning phase would end, 2K gold lead. Slow games, but HLE frankly just did nothing for the majority of both, so I only wrote down one player's name at all on here. In terms of game 1, HLE were a little more proactive, but at the same time, Canyon on the Lee Sin secured multiple grub spawns as well as 2 drakes. So at the end of laning phase, they had a 2k gold lead, a 39 CS lead in mid for Chovy over Zeka, that's significant, 20 CS lead for Canyon over Peanut, Peanut playing a Nautilus jungle in game 1, but a 34 CS lead for the bot lane of HLE. I think Lucian Nami was the pick for them in both. But in the end, Chovy on the Azir was the difference maker, and it was a low kill game as HLE kind of embraced their better version of Brion, if you will. They just kind of play really slow and hope they hand stiff their opponent. And in majority of cases, that's going to happen. We have Zeka, Doran, Peanut, Viper, and Delight. But when you're against Genji, that's a team that can match your hands. And if you are being outplayed in the early game, you will lose. So, game 2, 16-minute laning phase, much closer. However, a 35 CS lead for Keen over Doran. He was gapping him. Now, Zeka actually opened this game up with a few kills himself on the Azir. Keen on the Jax would return that favor as he was leading the way for Genji. Like I said, 35 CS lead is definitely notable. Canyon had great setup on the Rel to take advantage of HLE in the mid game to end up increasing a lead and not looking back. Chovy on the way, dealing a lot of damage to clean this one out. But in the end, I feel like Canyon was the difference maker. Not only that, I believe, if I recall, he took an objective in both games from Peanut, which is important. I think maybe even in game 1. You know what? Game 1, I think he was able to secure the 3rd Drake and Soul Point on a steal. And then in game 2, he might have stole a Baron. So, those plays obviously are important. Viper dealt a lot of damage, but, I mean, at the same time, didn't die a lot, right? So, he wasn't very aggressive, if you will. It's hard to really explain because it's like, oh, well, he's not aggressive, but he's doing a lot of damage. And it's like, he just wasn't enough, I guess. D plus DRX, D plus win 2-0. Showmaker 9-0-17, 38% of damage as he played Karma in both games. Kellen 2-0-22. Teddy 2-7-0, 25% of damage in the loss. So game 1, honestly, this was a blowout. D plus were up 3k gold in both games at 14:30. 29 CS lead in game 1 for Showmaker on the Karma into Satab. Lucid on the Rel, very active in both games, setting things up and getting them ahead. Took both grub spawns in game 1 as well. Sponge able to get one himself in the Drake, and actually had a slight CS lead, but that's all DRX really had. Kingin on the Aatrox, solo kill. Showmaker on the Karma, super strong, and I mean, I was surprised when I saw the stats afterwards. 1,000 DPM on Karma. You think support? Karma should be being picked in every game. First pick and then just put it wherever the hell you want if it's up. Because the amount of damage potential out of that champion is crazy. Can neutralize top lane matchups, can play strong support. Like, I think it's pretty clear just how dominant it is. Game 2, 18 CS lead for Sponge over Lucid, but that was not enough. Lucid on the Rel, taking both grub spawns, a Drake, going bot lane a couple times, giving his bot lane a 22 CS lead. 17 for Showmaker again. What do I have here? Somebody's got aiming on the Caitlyn, a 2v2 kill. Actually, the reason why I put these champion names on here is not only to tell you, but it might jog my memory. Aiming just seemed to lock down all the kills in game 2 on that Caitlyn. Rascal on the Camille, matching. I thought he was strong in game 2, at least getting all the kills for DRX when it was still not over, if you will. But Lucid on the Rel, finishing things. I mean, Showmaker and Aiming are getting all the kills, but Rel's all over the place, making things happen. Lucid playing a pretty good series into another rookie jungler. The Boo Birds aren't quite as vocal when Lucid plays well. If you haven't noticed that, I know I have. LEC, Mad Lions Koi Fnatic. That's nothing's on the board, so I'm going to have to pause for a second because I prematurely made this video. Shucks. Okay, so let's go over Mad Lions Koi and Fnatic. Started the video when I was doing everything on the board. I didn't have Game 5 yet. The stats were not on Game of Legend where I pull stats from. So I was going to circle back after the sneak peek in the news and, didn't get there. And also I forgot to go over the news. So we're going to have to go over that when this is, actually we'll just do it now. News. Nongshim have swapped out Irene for Shelly. Irene resigns. He went 13-48 over the last 3.5 splits for Nongshim. Over his career, 50-83 as a head coach in major regions, tier 1 level. He's been to Worlds a couple times in the Turkish league. Now that's not possible. So he's out. Shelly's in. Shelly was the coach of Nongshim Challengers when they won in 2022, which is what their roster is essentially now. So back to Mad Lions Koi Fnatic, which is why I had to stop. 3-2. Suppa 21, 13, 23, 28% of damage. Frescawi 17, 7, and 18. Nuke 12, 12, 17, 32% of damage in the loss. So, back and forth. This was a 2-0 to 2-2 angle that had a true silver scrapes. I definitely value silver scrapes when it's a reverse sweep, not when it just goes to game 5. I think that's kind of weak, but when there's a reverse sweep on the docket, that's pretty crazy. So game 1, 400 gold lead for BDS at 15:30. They were ahead in 3 of the 4 rolls. Mirwin on the Twisted Fate and Frescawi on the Talia in game 1. So clearly you have a composition that has to make things happen. That was not necessarily occurring quite to what I would have liked it to be, but at the same time, in the mid game, it finally started coming online. Suppa on the Jinx, securing some gold, getting ahead of Ice. Ice on the Aphelios, eventually returning that favor. But all of these alties and CC with the gold cards and the Weaver walls and seismic shoves and all that, Fnatic really couldn't, BDS really couldn't get through that. And they'd given up so much in the early game, a couple grub spawns and a Drake, and they just really were just outplayed. And it frankly looked like it was going to be a 3-0 after game 1, just because of the way that BDS ended up approaching it. Game 2, Fnatic actually had a 1.6k gold lead at the end of laning phase, 17 CS lead for, why did I say Fnatic again? BDS. Gen X had a it's because I have Mad Lions as orange on my board. We're disheveled right now. So, Mad Lions are ahead 1.6k gold. Not Fnatic. 17 CS lead for Mirwin, who is not Oscarinin. Now, Ice on the Aphelios, 2v2 kill in laning phase. Suppa on the Zaya, returning the favor, was strong at that point as well. Mirwin on the Nar, solo killing Gen X. Frescawi on the Azir, playing much better than Nuke was on the champion in game 1. That was a big reason why BDS lost as well, because it was like, what is Nuke doing? I don't think he hit a single shuffle, and then it was going out with a whimper. It was atrocious. And in game 2, like I said, 1.6k gold lead for Mad Lions Koi at the end of laning phase, and they just didn't look back. They were just ahead. And it looked like, okay, this is a 3-0. But in game 3, at 16-15, BDS have a 1.5k gold lead at the end of laning phase. Gen X 23 CS lead. Very strong in the second half of this best of 5. Gen X deserves a lot of credit for coming in off the bench, not playing with this iteration. Never playing with these players, I don't believe at all. and doing a more than sufficient job. He was not the reason they lost, even though I would say Mirwin was the MVP, and we'll get to that. 21 CS lead for Elyoya in Game 3 at the end of laning phase. Labrov on the Alistar all over the place, making things happen, which is what got BDS ahead. Nuke on the Azir, solo killing Fresskowy. Mirwin on the Karma top, strong when he needed to be, dealing quite a lot of damage. Fresskowy on the Akali, nice flanks, some pickoff plays, but in team fights, Ice on the Ezreal, which would happen in Game 4 as well, on another level. Korean Ezreal, that's just kind of what happens. Gen X on the Lee Sin, also cleaning things up. He looked incredible. You know, honestly, Gen X Game 3 and I would say Games 4 and 5 earned himself another opportunity in the LEC. A lot of people probably disagree, but I think he played more than sufficient today. Game 4, end of laning phase, 16 minutes. It's tied. 22 CS lead for Elyoya in the jungle. 29 CS lead for Ice and Labrov as Ezreal had 2 kills that were either 2v2 or solo based. Mad Lions Koi get both grub spawns, but because Ice was so far ahead on the Ezreal, they really couldn't make up that gold difference the entire game. They kept mentioning it on the broadcast. And you look at it, it's like, wow, they have a 1.5k gold lead on the Ezreal, and it ain't going anywhere. Nuke on the Azir, finally playing a strong game. Elyoya on the Vi. A lot of people bringing up the Vi as an issue. I thought that it wasn't. I'm not a fan of Vi. I haven't been a fan of Vi as a champion in quite a while. I don't think I ever really was. But at the same time, it is one of Elyoya's better champions over his career, not only this season, but when you take into his entire career. Going into today, it was his highest win rate champion with more than 20 games over his career. So, a good pick for him. Now, was he strong on it? Alvaro on the Nautilus was able to kind of keep this game close. He had some nice hooks, kind of playing with it on cooldown. However, Ice was on Ezreal, and Ezreal was just on another level. So, he and Nuke carrying Game 4. But Game 5, they ran out of steam. So, at the end of laning phase, it's pretty much tied at 16-30. Elyoya on the Brand, 17 CS lead. Mirwin, 18 CS lead in top lane on the K'Sante. And his late game heroics were the difference. Also getting rid of Azir and Ezreal from BDS was also a great idea. Sup on the Xayah, I think a 2v2 kill in bot lane. Gen X on the Gragas did solo kill Mirwin in this one. Mirwin returned that favor. Elyoya on the Brand, like I said, he was strong, getting that CS lead, securing all the early game kills that Mad Lions had. And he is their best player, so getting your gold on your best player is a good strategy. But BDS kept it close. And they would keep it close, and in the mid to late game team fights, Mirwin on the K'Sante picked off Ice solo dolo pretty much in the last 2 team fights. And in doing so, took away the biggest damage threat. Nuke was not strong enough to do anything. Gen X on the Gragas is a Gragas, and you can only do so much as well. So it was just over before it really started. Once Mirwin took Ice out of the fight, it was, how long is this fight going to last? How long does it take for Mad Lions Koi to end it? And I thought it was a big moment for Mad, for the 4 rookies especially. A reverse sweep possibly on the horizon here. Big moment for them. You could argue a bigger moment than EU Master Finals. And they came through. Elyoya came through and led the way. But Mirwin, in those last team fights, I thought was the most valuable player. Getting Ice out of there. Ice was by far BDS's best player today, and it made the difference. So, sneak peek for tomorrow. LCK, T1 and Fear X. T1 6-1 coming off of a win against DK. Fear X 3-4 coming off a loss to KDF. Last time they played, T1 would win 2-1. 8 of the 10 starters are the same. Zeus, Owner, Faker. 21, 23, 73, 60% of damage in the win. Clear, Willer, and Closer. 25, 27, and 40 for 64% of damage in the loss. Nongshim and Brion. Nongshim 1-6, coming off of a loss to KT. Brion 0-7, lost to HLE. Last time they played, Nongshim would win 2-1. 6 of the 10 starters are the same. Din Din 4-4-21, 23% of damage in the win. Morgan 5-8-8, 26% of damage in the loss. LPL returning from their New Year break. Ninja and Pajamas 4-1, coming off of a win against OMG. Ultra Prime 1-4, coming off of a loss to Anyone's Legend. Last time they played, Nip would win 2-0. 3 of the 10 starters are the same. 80 carries remain the same. Photic 10-1-11, 24% of damage. Doggo 5-6-5, 30% of damage in the defeat. OMG 2-3, lost to Nip. Anyone's Legend 3-2, beat Ultra Prime. Last time they played, OMG won 2-0. Only 2 of the starters are the same, both on OMG, the bot duo. Abel would go 16-2-5, 34% of damage in the win. Lastly, Thunder Talk Rare Atom. Thunder Talk 1-3, coming off of loss to IG. Rare Atom 0-4, coming off of a loss to Top Esports. Last time they played, Rare Atom would win 2-0. 6 of the 10 starters are the same. Zhaoju and Asum would go 24-7-16, 61% of damage in the win. Hoya and 1XN 8-14-9 for 54% of damage in the loss. And another note, Feather was in Rare Atom's bot duo at that time alongside Asum, and now is a substitute for Thunder Talk. Lastly, LEC Winter Finals. Winner goes to MSI. So, Mad Lions, Koi, and G2 both 7-2. Last time they played, G2 would win. Caps went 4-1-6 with 24% of the team's damage. Frescowi 3-2-3, 21% of damage in the loss. Mad Lions are going to need a lot of rest tonight, for sure. 10 games in 2 days is a lot. This is the real test of this format and the double elim format and just the way that they're doing it. And this happened last year with Mad Lions as well, that I was like, okay, well, they got to win best of fives day after day after day after day. So it's going to be a lot on their plate. But we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.